desire for them to come in.
Yeah, they did. They did vote that.
And President Obama is not too pleased with that, of course.
Right. No, he is not. And you know the thing about that is, you know, it's like a double-edged sword. There's two things. So making sure that you protect the United States, the government, and keeping terrorists from coming in. So you want to make things more difficult for those terrorists to come in, and you know, closing the borders. But then there's the flip side of the humanitarian issue of there are people who are trying to flee against these terrorists,
Right.
and you know, allowing them to come in is the right thing, the Christian thing to do.
True.
And so it actually brings more Muslims into the United States.
True. But in the process of them, on the other flip side of that, you already have the ones that are already here. So what, you I kind of agree with what Donald Trump says. You got a lot of people coming in and you don't know what they are. They could
Right,
easily say that they're a Christian or they're just seeking shelter, and you don't know what their deepest intent within their heart is. You don't know.
right,
Don't know. And that really doesn't awaken until they desire to go ahead and make an attack on the United States, which the government is going to have to figure out some kind of way of having a better filter.
right. Yeah, they will have to have a better filter. And I just wonder, you know, as we're seeing all this stuff, it's very ironic, Charles, that after the Pope has come to the United States and did his whole thing, he's finally made it back to the Vatican, that
Hmm.
this attack happens on France.
Hmm.
There are a lot of people who believe that the Jesuits are behind all of this stuff, which they have a lot of good legitimacy to that, and that they're causing, or somehow they're causing this turmoil to happen with the ISIS group. And it's just so ironic that after he's finished his thing and he's gone back to the Vatican, and you haven't heard a whole lot from him, and all this stuff is happening, and it's been in the news since, what was that, Friday it happened? I think it was Friday,
Yes. Hmm.
last Friday. And you know, the Russians are getting more involved because their plane was uh,
Shot.
was blown up, you know, and
Hmm.
everything. So it is kind of causing a one world government. It's very
Right.
interesting that the Pope has been talking about formulating a one world government, and now we see that stuff is going into motion.
Hmm. Because everybody's uniting, you know, in order to join force to defeat ISIS, they're gonna have to join forces. That's the only way that they'll be able to. I don't know if defeat them is the correct term to use, because it's sometimes it's hard to get rid of a cancer if you don't have the necessary medicine to destroy it.
Right.
So, and we don't know how large the foundation for ISIS is. So it's a struggle. It's like really dealing with a needle in a haystack, if you look at that terminology.
Right.
There's so many of them.
Right. You know, I'm looking for the text where it talks about. Oh, I gotta find this text. I think it's in Revelation chapter 17,
Mhm.
and it talks about how the kings of the earth are going to. I think this is it here. All right, so you know, we talk about mystery Babylon. This is in Revelation chapter 17, um, verse 5. So there's this woman who was on a beast. So this woman is arrayed in purple and scarlet in verse 4. and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her head is written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots, right? So she's drunken with the blood of the saints in verse 6. And then John is marveling as he's watching this woman on this beast that's carrying her around, which have 7 heads and 10 horns. And the beast that John is seeing in verse 8 that he saw and is not shall ascend from the bottomless pit, right? And
Right.
then verse 10 talks about 7 heads being 7 mountains, and the 7 kings, 7 heads or 7 kings. 5 are falling, 1 is, and 1 is yet to come. And he that cometh must continue a short space. And the beast that was, even he is the 8th,
Mm-hmm.
and is up to 7 and goes in perdition. The 10 horns that you saw, the 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet, but receive power as kings for 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and they give their power and strength unto the beast. And this is a text that a lot of people use to talk about the one world government, and which is what it's plainly that the 10 kings, as Daniel saw the 10 toes at the end of time, before the stone came and stroked the image of metal on the foot. We got those 10 kings. We have these 10 horns that are ruling with the one of the 7 mountains, or the beast,
Right.
which is the 8th one that's going to come up. And this is talking about the one world government. And I think, studying that even more shows how this stuff is happening so quickly. That's one thing. And then how is it going to happen? It's going to happen because Islam is going to agitate the whole world to be against them, to where the whole world comes together to fight Islam.
And that's happening at a rapid pace right now.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Very rapid pace.
there's a lot of discrimination going on as far as, Muslims, and not all Muslims are bad, but
Right.
because of what ISIS is doing, it's just making them look bad, making the good ones look bad, which actually they're against ISIS as well. But in order for prophecy to go ahead and be fulfilled, um, Islam has to go ahead and go forth with what's taking place currently, uh, and it all goes back to Abraham and Sarah.
Right.
Hmm.
As you mentioned that, it reminds me of the text. I'm trying to find it. It's in Genesis, where it talks about Ishmael.
Hmm.
I don't know if I can find it. Let's see. I'm looking. Where it talks about Ishmael being, it's kind of talking about Ishmael and
Hmm.
how he is going to be against every man, and every man is going to be against him.
Against him, absolutely.
I find that text.
And God did promise that He would be a great nation. So,
That's right. That's
and,
right. So it's Genesis chapter 16, verse 12.
hmm
And it says that he will be a wild man.
hmm
He will be a wild man. I think the Bible is very accurate about the descendants of Ishmael. Just plain old wild, okay? So it's talking about Ishmael. I'm trying to get the context here. So Hagar, she had ran into the wilderness, and the angel appears to her and promises her that in verse 10 that he was going to multiply. This is the Lord speaking to her. The Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, it shall not be numbered for multitude. All right. And she's telling him, child that you shall bear, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard thy affliction. He will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
Hmm.
So there's a prophecy about Ishmael and his descendants. And it kind of tells us how this one world government is going to be formed, the catalyst that causes everybody to come together against Islam, against the descendants of Ishmael. And it's right here in this prophecy from the book of Genesis. Absolutely amazing.
Well, I was listening to Pastor Herekes, and he was talking about how the the everybody the cost of living, as far as for they want the minimum wage to go up, and if the minimum
Yeah,
wage, if that should go up, then lots of people are going to lose their jobs and whatnot, and cause the economy to eventually crash, and that will play a role in the one world order, because if the economy crashed, then they will have to unite together to bring it back to a point where everything could be, you know, be bought and sold again. But
right.
you won't be able to buy or sell if the economy crash.
That's
That's just, I guess, one way of the papacy trying to uh, bring that one world order into play.
that's right.
Mhm.
That yeah, yeah that reminds me of Revelation 13. That's right. That one world government, Revelation 13. And he says, so no man will be able to buy or sell,
Mhm.
except for what? Is it except for what?
Except
We'll
for
allow
those that had
buy or
that
sell.
mark.
The mark of the beast, right?
That's right. And it just brings me to my remembrance. I was in the store one time, and instead of swiping the card, you have the chip in it now, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got to
yeah.
chip it in. And the lady said, pretty soon there will be no more swiping of the cards. Everything's going to that chip.
Yeah.
So I found that to be quite interesting, because if you don't have a special card with that chip, unless you paying cash, I I don't know. We're moving towards a cashless society, so I don't think cash gonna be accepted here soon. You probably have
Yeah.
to have a special card.
I mean, you having the chip, everybody having to use a chip, even for those who are on low income. Because those who are low income, and they're supposed to get, like back in the day, used to get food stamps.
Yeah, they
They
get the
don't use
card.
that anymore. They get
Hmm.
that card, that VIC card,
Hmm.
and imagine that VIC card had to have a certain little chip that they can
Yeah, yeah.
control. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, yeah, Revelation 13 talks about how you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast. And then then that just begs the question: is the chip the mark of the beast?
Hmm. Well, I wouldn't say the chip is a mark of the beast, but it's gonna play a role in control.
Control, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely play a role in controlling people and controlling their way of life, so that
Right,
they will comply with whatever the rules are.
right. It's like you can't be a part of you can't have a membership in the club if you don't want to abide by the rules.
Right.
Hmm. And that's what it's pushing towards. 'Cause if you look around and you look at the economy, everybody still thinks the economy is good, but it's still, the economy is still struggling, because people are still being laid off. Businesses, they're still being downsized. and
Right.
there's just a tremendous amount of things that are taking place that's
Right.
really out of the control of man.
Yeah. And like you said, Pastor Enriquez, he mentioned something I thought was pretty profound. You know, like you were saying just a few moments ago, you have people who are struggling, and so you need to raise them. You want to raise the minimum wage.
Hmm.
Yet, if you raise the minimum wage, then that will cause the businesses not to be able to hire more people or things like that. So you start having less people with, you have more people with less jobs, right? So you won't have as many jobs. And I thought right on, and same thing I believe. The problem is not necessarily that people are not being paid enough and that there's not enough jobs. The problem is why is the cost, why is there's another thing that's going on, and it's probably the strength of the dollar. It's the strength of the currency that we're using is actually getting weaker.
Right. And two, with the cost of living is constantly going up. But
Yeah,
the the middle class people or the poor people, they're not they're not getting any increase as far as money. They're every time the cost of living go up, they don't get an increase in their pay. So it, they can't live. If the cost of living was to go down, then those people that are making less money, they will be able to afford what they need to get for their household and for their families.
right, right,
But that's not happening. Each and everything, every day, the cost of living is moving up. So
right,
that creates more of a problem each and every day. Like if a loaf of bread, right now, a loaf of bread, what, maybe $2 and some change, and next year it could be $3, $4. So how can a person on a low income, fixed income, be able to afford that and be able to pay their bills as well? As far it's just it's not it won't happen.
right,
It couldn't happen. But the cost of living was adjusted to the point where everything was at a decent price, then it will work.
right,
And that's what Pastor Harekez, I think he was trying to get at. It's not that, the cost of living, I mean, the minimum wage need to go up. If the cost of living were at a level that it was not too much for a loaf of bread, instead of loaf of bread being $2, it could be like $1 and some change. People could
right.
afford it. And then they wouldn't be
That's right.
crying for a raise. But normally when people cry for raises because they're struggling, they're unable to to take care of their families, and that's when you cause a chaos. And I think that's what this world, well, the devil is trying to do for this world, cause more and more chaos. The
Yeah,
more chaos, the more control.
that's right.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, that's right. Well, look, man, it's been an interesting discussion, and we could probably go into some more detail even. But I think it was a good first attempt right here to do this.
Hmm.
So I appreciate you coming on and discussing stuff. And then so maybe we can, or I guess outlined, and we can go into detail and make the comparisons to scripture and everything like that.
You're freezing too.
Am I really?
Yes.
Yeah, you are too occasionally.
Uh-huh.
And and I'm going across the wireless, and I guess you are as well. So that adds to it. That adds to it too, because this is a
Okay.
video feed that's going, all the way up to Google,
Right.
YouTube. You know, there's a lot going on. Make it
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
But this is pretty cool because I like the way it switches back and forth, so you have focus on whoever's speaking. And because normally you want to have it where it does that so you can have focus on the person who's talking and have them full screen. So it's doing it for us automatically.
Right, which is real good.
This is very cool. Very cool. All right. So we got to get together and do this. And I would love, because you can do more than one person. I would really like to invite some other people to be on the broadcast.
Like a round table discuss.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like a round table. For real. Like a round table. And who do you think might be interested in talking about, current events in light of Bible prophecy?
Mikhail.
Oh, Mikhail? Oh, okay. Mikhail. All right.
Sure, Paul would.
Paul, have you ever had a discussion with Paul?
After.
I mean, on current events, that is.
Oh, I've sent him a lot of information.
Right. And Bobby.
And Bobby. And I think Solomon is actually keeping up.
Yeah.
I don't know about Clifford, and I don't know if he is, but I do send those links out to them as well as Clifford and Mackenzie.
Kenzie. Right.
But those people like that, I know Channing Musin, Ebony husband, he's into that too as well.
Really? Oh, really?
hmm hmm And those are the only people I can think of right now, currently, other than me and yourself.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, we've had conversation with Solomon. That was pretty good because he's up on that stuff.
Yeah, because I think the last thing I shared was with Pastor Redcast with him. But the last video I saw was on Lady Grace, and she was talking about that chart. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
That I don't know where that new chart that they have, and it's showing where the current events where 9/11 took place, and then as far as the third angel making the loud cry.
Right. Yes, I saw the first time I ever seen
Okay.
when she showed it on the screen. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, look, man, this has been real good.
Okay.
So, what can I say? Peace. Till the next time. I will get the link so you can then see it. We can go back, you can see it or share it or what have you. But, if we were doing this where we had other people invited, we could give them the link ahead of time that it was going to be shown on. They can watch it live on YouTube.
Okay. Are we still live?
We are still live, man. I might need to stop, shouldn't I? All right. Stop that.